Alrighty, so our transition point is here at just shy of 18 feet. We did see a bunch of grease build up in that main stack, so I am going to be recommending a hydro jet from the kitchen line down into the main line. Make sure all of that is pushed out to the main where it can be dealt with. We also did see about 2 feet of grading loss there. Barely on that borderline between grading loss and belly, but it is still only about 2 feet from 10 to 12 feet. So yeah, we're gonna let that one go, but recommend monitoring that area and to be mindful about what is flushed. But for now, we're gonna go ahead and flush some water, improve flow here at the transition. Alrighty, so we do have some heavier roots beginning at 51.5 feet here. If we see a bunch more of these, we're going to also recommend that the line be cleaned and re-inspected. If we cannot see through the roots, we want to get that cleaned and re-inspected so we can verify these joints, make sure there's no cracking, fractures, or other nastiness. We just can't see through these roots today. Alrighty, and here we are at the main. 120 feet. Overall, most of the clay looks pretty gosh darn good, given the age and the fact that it is running out underneath a cul-de-sac here. We did have a couple of obscured joints, so we want those to be, we want those roots cleaned out, we want those joints re-inspected, make sure we're not missing anything that could be, compromising the line. We also want to have the main stack cleaned out, make sure all of that nasty grease is pushed out here to the main where it can be dealt with. So we've got a big old clean from the kitchen line and a re-inspection is what we're going to be recommending. But yeah, as we can see here, that even despite the grading loss a little bit closer to the city tap here, we actually have very nice flow into the main. And you can see that despite being 120 feet out and several feet deep, probably closer to 10, 12 at this point, we do have roots here. Little stragglers, nothing that is blocking flow or debris at this time, but it is still something I would recommend. Regular cleanings for. Then we also have a crack right here. Excellent. But yeah, we've got roots back here. We've got a crack down there. I'm gonna go ahead and get that located. You can just see, yeah, especially there at the 3 o'clock position, some nasty roots. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get this located. Recommend repair there. And yeah, overall, given the fact that most of this line is clay and underneath that cul-de-sac, it's looking pretty good. Alrighty, we've got that located at the other end of the cul-de-sac, about 9.5 feet deep. Something like this line is going to need pretty regular maintenance to keep this clay in as good a condition as it is. It has probably done most of its settling at this point in its life, so I wouldn't expect to see it to move too much. But still, we want to have it cleaned to make sure that all the grease is pushed out. We want it cleaned to make sure that those roots are gotten rid of. We need it re-inspected to verify those joints that we couldn't see past the roots, make sure we're not missing anything else. And then we need that repair done at the city tap connection, or the joint just before the city tap connection. So they're more than likely going to have to redo all of that turn there down into the city. After that, we're going to recommend a rescope to verify the repair works. The last thing you want is to spend a bunch of money on one of these sewer line repairs and have the joint or connection missed. So getting that reinspection is always worthwhile. Besides that, it's going to be about regular maintenance. I'd recommend cleaning this line every 2 to 3 years with a chain auger, just to make sure that all of those roots are taken care of. And then again, once a decade, just get it hydrojetted. Make sure that all that grease that builds up in your plastic is pushed out to the main where it can be dealt with. When you have mixed medium lines like this, where you have PVC and clay, they just have different maintenance requirements. So you're going to have to perform, maintenance for each of those materials. Outside of that, I highly recommend against the flushing of non-flushable materials such as flossers, Q-tips, hygiene products, feminine hygiene products. I also highly recommend against flushing baby wipes, makeup wipes, dude wipes, or flushable wipes. They may say flushable, and yes, by legal standards they are, but they have been known to get caught up in roots and not break down in a reasonable amount of time, and it is a quick recipe for a backup. And even if you are lucky enough to have your wipes make it past your line, a majority of the time, they've been known to cause havoc on the city side, which is why I always recommend against it, because if you're not paying for it directly in your own cleaning costs, you will be paying for it in your taxpayer dollars to clean, maintain, repair, and upgrade our infrastructure. Short of that, I always, when it comes to the garbage disposal and running stuff through there, if you can compost it, I recommend minimizing it. Those more fibrous materials have been known to get caught up in roots and help create backups. Coffee grounds and eggshells have been known to sit in lines for years at a time just because they are so heavy and hard to flush out, as well as grease. If you minimize that, you're going to help minimize your backups. So if you're ever cooking with lots of oils, fats, or greases, I always recommend pouring them into a secondary container, one that's preferably heat-proof, and then dumping that out once it cools and solidifies.